What if the end isn't a sudden bang but a slow, agonizing burn? What if the apocalypse isn't coming but it's already here, simmering beneath our feet, and we're too busy to notice? For decades, scientists have warned us. The planet is heating up, but it's not just about warmer summers or melting ice caps. We're talking about a fundamental shift, a tipping point where our world transforms into something unrecognizable. Imagine a world where the air itself is a weapon, where every breath is a struggle against suffocating heat, and water is more precious than gold. This isn't science fiction, this is the science of our reality. We'll delve into the greenhouse effect, the carbon emissions choking our atmosphere, and the terrifying feedback loops that accelerate this process. From the thawing permafrost releasing ancient methane to the vanishing ice sheets reflecting less sunlight, every natural defense mechanism of our planet is turning against us. We'll explore how these seemingly small changes are creating a domino effect, pushing us closer to an irreversible state. For instance, as the Arctic warms, the reflective white sea ice melts, exposing the darker ocean water beneath. This dark water absorbs more of the sun's heat rather than reflecting it, which causes even more warming and melts even more ice. Another terrifying example is the thawing of permafrost in the vast northern tundras. As this frozen ground thaws, it releases huge quantities of methane, a greenhouse gas that is over 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide in the short term, which then accelerates global heating even further, creating a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. This is not a theoretical model, it is the engine of our current crisis. We have pushed the Earth's climate system out of the stable state it has maintained for the entirety of human civilization. The warming is not linear. It can accelerate unexpectedly as these feedback loops gain momentum. Every fraction of a degree of warming matters as it pushes us closer to other tipping points like the collapse of major ocean currents or the dieback of the Amazon rainforest. The science is unequivocal. We have lit a fire, and the feedback loops we have triggered are now fanning the flames, threatening to turn our planetary home into an inferno of our own making. The scientific data translates into devastating real-world consequences, events that are no longer rare anomalies, but the new, terrifying norm. Look to the endless summers, where heat domes trap entire regions under blistering, record-shattering temperatures. In places from southern Europe to North America and Asia, cities designed for temperate climates are baking, infrastructure is failing, and the most vulnerable, the elderly and the poor, are perishing. At the same time, this intense heat sucks moisture from the land, giving rise to prolonged and severe droughts. Rivers shrink to trickles, reservoirs vanish, and once lush farmlands turn to barren expanses of cracked earth, triggering crop failures and threatening global food security. This parched landscape becomes a tinderbox, ready to ignite. The wildfire seasons have become longer, more intense, and more widespread than ever before. We have watched in horror as entire towns in Australia, Canada, and the United States have been consumed by flames moving with terrifying speed and ferocity. These are not just forest fires, they are mega fires that generate their own weather systems, creating fiery vortexes and casting smoke-filled palls that travel across continents, choking cities thousands of miles away. The destruction is absolute, wiping out entire ecosystems, homes, livelihoods, and leaving behind scarred, blackened landscapes that may take centuries to recover, if they ever do. On the other end of the spectrum is the fury of water. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, which means that when it rains, it pours with unprecedented intensity. This leads to catastrophic flooding, as we have seen in Pakistan, Germany, and China, where a year's worth of rain can fall in just a few days. These deluges overwhelm rivers and drainage systems, sweeping away homes, bridges, and lives in powerful torrents. In the oceans, that same heat acts as fuel for storms. Hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones are becoming more powerful and intensifying more rapidly, transforming from tropical storms into monstrous Category 5 tempests that obliterate everything in their path, leaving coastal communities shattered and economies in ruin. The financial cost of these escalating disasters is staggering, running into hundreds of billions of dollars each year. But the true cost cannot be measured in currency. It is measured in lost lives, shattered communities, and destroyed natural heritage. Insurance becomes unaffordable or unavailable, entire industries collapse, and governments are forced to divert resources from education and healthcare to endless cycles of disaster response and rebuilding. We are in a state of perpetual recovery from a crisis that never ceases, a relentless assault by fire and water on the very foundations of our societies. The Earth is demonstrating with brutal clarity the consequences of our imbalance with nature. Beyond the statistics and the satellite images lies the profound human tragedy of the climate crisis. This is a story about people. It is the story of a farmer in the Sahel region of Africa, standing on land his family has worked for generations, now watching it turn to desert before his eyes, wondering how he will feed his children. It is the story of a family in a low-lying Pacific island nation, packing their most precious belongings as the sea, which has sustained their culture for centuries, slowly consumes their ancestral home. These are not isolated anecdotes. They are the lived reality for millions of climate refugees, people forced to abandon their homes not because of war, but because of an environment that can no longer support them. The psychological toll is immense and often overlooked. There is a deep, gnawing anxiety that comes from living under constant threat, a condition now known as eco-anxiety or climate grief. It is the stress of not knowing if the next storm will take your house, if the next drought will bankrupt your farm, or what kind of world your children will inherit. For communities that have already endured disaster, the trauma is palpable. The loss of a home, of a community, of a sense of place and security, leaves deep and lasting scars on the human psyche. This emotional burden is a silent, parallel pandemic, one that affects mental health and weakens the resilience of entire societies. Yet, in the midst of this despair, we also witness the extraordinary power of human resilience. We see it in the volunteers who travel across the country to help strangers rebuild their lives after a flood. We see it in the community organizers who establish local food networks and cooling centers to protect their neighbors during a heat wave. It is present in the indigenous communities who, drawing on centuries of traditional knowledge, are at the forefront of ecosystem restoration and sustainable land management. This is the human spirit at its finest, the capacity for compassion, for cooperation, and for finding strength in the face of overwhelming adversity. This is not passive suffering. It is active, courageous survival. However, we must recognize that this resilience has its limits, and the burden is not shared equally. It is overwhelmingly the poorest and most marginalized communities, those who have contributed the least to the problem, who are suffering the most. From the urban poor in heat-stricken cities to the subsistence farmers on drought-plagued lands, they lack the resources to adapt or relocate. This is the profound injustice of the climate crisis. It is a crisis that exacerbates existing inequalities, creating a world of climate haves and have-nots. Their struggle is not just against the elements, it is a struggle for justice, for recognition, and for their fundamental right to a safe and dignified life. While the picture is grim, it is crucial to understand that despair is a luxury we cannot afford. The future is not yet written, and a path away from the worst-case scenarios still exists. Hope is not found in wishful thinking, but in action, and the solutions to our crisis are already within our grasp. The most critical step is a rapid global transition away from fossil fuels to clean, renewable energy sources. The technology is here. The cost of solar and wind power has plummeted in the last decade, making them the cheapest sources of new electricity in many parts of the world. What we need now is the political will to scale them up at an emergency speed. This transition requires bold and decisive action from governments worldwide. It means ending the trillions of dollars in subsidies that are still given to the fossil fuel industry each year, effectively paying to accelerate our own destruction. It means implementing strong carbon pricing mechanisms that make polluters pay for the damage they cause. Governments must invest massively in green infrastructure, modernizing electrical grids, expanding public transportation, retrofitting buildings for energy efficiency, and restoring natural ecosystems like forests and wetlands that act as vital carbon sinks. International cooperation is essential, with wealthier nations, who bear the historical responsibility for the crisis, providing financial and technological support to developing countries to help them leapfrog to a clean energy future. But this is not just a task for governments and large corporations. The power of individual action, when multiplied by millions, can create a groundswell of change that is impossible to ignore. Every choice we make matters. We can reduce our personal carbon footprint by changing how we travel, what we eat, and how we consume. choosing to walk, cycle, or use public transport, reducing meat consumption, and rejecting the throwaway culture of fast fashion and single-use plastics are all meaningful contributions. Perhaps most importantly, we can use our voices as citizens. We can demand stronger climate policies from our elected officials, support businesses committed to sustainability, and join local or national environmental groups. This is not about a few people doing sustainability perfectly, it is about millions of people doing it imperfectly, but consistently. It is about shifting our culture away from one of endless consumption to one of stewardship and respect for the natural world. The hopeful glimmer on the horizon is the growing global movement of people, especially the young, who are rising up to demand a better future. They understand what is at stake, and their energy, passion, and moral clarity are a powerful force for change. They remind us that saving our planet is not a technical problem, but a moral one, and that our collective voice can, and must, redirect our course. We stand at a unique and daunting crossroads in the history of our species. The path we have been on, a path of unchecked exploitation and consumption, leads to a boiling, unstable world, a world of ever-increasing hardship and loss. The apocalyptic truth is that this is not a future possibility. It is the trajectory we are currently on. The Earth's systems are flashing red alerts, and we can no longer afford the comfort of denial or delay. The fires, floods, and storms are not random acts of nature, they are the direct, predictable consequences of our collective choices. The fever of our planet is a symptom of a sickness that lies within our own civilization and our broken relationship with the natural world. The choice before us is stark. We can continue down this destructive path, resigning ourselves and all future generations to a future of relentless crisis. Or we can choose a different path, a path of healing, restoration, and balance. This path will not be easy. It will require courage, sacrifice, and a level of global cooperation unprecedented in human history. It will demand that we fundamentally rethink our economies, our societies, and our values. It will require us to see the world not as a collection of resources to be exploited, but as a single interconnected community of life to which we belong and have a duty to protect. This choice must be made now, for the window of opportunity to avert the most catastrophic outcomes is closing rapidly. This is, in the end, a profound moral test. It asks us what we value most. Do we value short-term profit over long-term survival? Do we value our own convenience over the well-being of our children and grandchildren? Do we value our one precious living planet, this miraculous blue sphere teeming with wonders that have evolved over billions of years? The natural world is resilient, but it is not infinitely so. The web of life, so intricate and beautiful, can be unraveled. The species we drive to extinction will be gone forever. The stable climate that nurtured our civilization is a gift we are carelessly squandering. Therefore, let this be a call to action. I urge you to look at the world around you, to see both its beauty and its pain. Educate yourself and those around you. Raise your voice. Make conscious choices every day that honor the planet that sustains you. Join the millions who are already working for a better world. This is the great challenge of our time. It will define our legacy. Let us not be the generation that stood by and watched as our world boiled. Let us be the generation that faced the apocalyptic truth and chose with wisdom and courage to heal our planet and secure a future for all life on Earth. The choice is ours. The time is now. The Earth is boiling, but it's not too late to turn down the heat. Join us next time as we explore another terrifying yet fascinating apocalyptic scenario. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the most pressing apocalyptic threat? Let us know.